The following segment is sponsored by Segelke Financial Group.
We are back with our financial expert, Jeff Segelke. Jeff, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
We love having you on the show, Jeff. So we're covering a sad topic today, but it's something that's really important to talk about, and that is our financial stability and survival after losing a spouse.
Yeah, this is a sad subject. This isn't something that's fun to talk about, but it happens. People die. And in a married couple, you know, if one of you dies, not only is it emotionally taxing, but there's financial concerns, there's legal concerns, all sorts of issues that you've got to deal with, and it becomes overwhelming. I've literally met with dozens of people, mostly women, a couple of men, who have lost their spouse just in the last few years. And you know, you're going through all that emotional time and loss and mourning, and yet you've got to figure out all the financial affairs.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want to think about. And we were all just saying, not when we're even older to think about that, but like even with young people, because accidents happen.
They do. And so it doesn't matter what your age is, doesn't matter if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, any of us could go at any time, and so we've got to plan for these things. So a couple of things that I recommend is, number one, if something happens to your spouse, if your spouse passes away, the first thing you have to do, and I'm not a psychiatrist or anything, but you need to deal with it emotionally. You need to mourn.
Sure.
And you need to not make any huge decisions right away. You don't need to make any big decisions as far as your investment accounts or anything else, legal things, documents. But there are certain things you need to do. Obviously, you need to plan the funeral, the obituary, you need to get death certificates. I mean, there's lots of little things that you need to do at the beginning. Now, after a month or two have passed on and you've been able to mourn and take some time, then there's a lot of other things you've got to do, such as potentially filing for Social Security benefits, because there are benefits that are available through Social Security if your spouse dies, potentially. You've got to file for any insurance claims. So if you do have life insurance, you've got to file with the insurance company to get those benefits. There's lots of little things you've got to do, and it is overwhelming. And so what I've done is I've created a cheat sheet, a checklist that just says, hey, this is a survivor's checklist. This is what you need. It will guide you through the process and just say, hey, here's the things you've got to do immediately. Here's what you've got to do in 2 months and 6 months and a year, and make sure your legal and financial affairs are in order. Such as, you've got to figure out, okay, now what do I do with my spouse's investments, retirement accounts? How do I get those rolled over into my name? What is that process? And so all of that is outlined here, and we really help walk people through that process. So if something has happened to your spouse in the last year, or your spouse is sick and there's a chance something's going to happen, it'd be a good idea to meet with a financial professional to get some advice, to walk through this and be ready, or if it's already happened, to figure out, okay, what do I need to do now?
This is so helpful, especially after the fact, to just maybe have something guide you through so it can be kind of mindless. But what about taking steps in order to prepare for this before anything happens? How important is that, so that when, hopefully not, but a bad scenario does happen, you say, I don't have to think about that because I took care of it for a minute?
So important, because so much easier to plan for it beforehand than it is after. After, your emotions and everything is running wild, and it's just hard to make those decisions. So making decisions beforehand, as far as maybe funeral arrangements, maybe even writing your obituary, that sounds sad, but just writing that beforehand so that it's kind of done. Things like making sure you have insurance in place, if you need life insurance to protect your family, if you happen to die suddenly, to make sure they're okay financially. So there's lots of things you can do beforehand, and legally, having a will, having a trust. Those kind of things are important to have beforehand.
And kind of help smooth that path as it happens.
Sure. Okay, Jeff, where can we go and find you?
So you can go to our website, which is protectandgrowwealth.com, and we're holding an educational class just for women, where I'm going to address these issues for women if your spouse has passed away or could at some point. And so if you'd like to register for that, give us a call, and I'm giving out this free checklist to anybody who calls today and just mentions Fresh Living.
Okay, Jeff, thanks so much.
Thank you.